My trip to New York. I always wanted to visit New York. I saw it in movies and read about it in books. Finally, my dream came true. I was very excited. I packed my bags and went to the airport. The airport was big. Many people were there. I checked in my luggage and waited for my flight. I felt happy and a little nervous. The flight to New York was long. I looked out the window and saw clouds. I watched a movie. After many hours, the plane landed in New York. I was finally there. I took a taxi to my hotel. The taxi driver was friendly. He asked me where I was from. I told him I was from a small town. He told me about New York. He showed me tall buildings and famous places. When I arrived at my hotel, I checked in and went to my room. The room was nice. I looked out the window and saw the city. It was very different from my town. I unpacked my bags and rested. The next morning, I woke up early. I wanted to see Times Square. I took a bus to Times Square. There were many lights and big screens. People were everywhere. I took many pictures. I walked around and looked at the shops. I bought a souvenir. After visiting Times Square, I was hungry. I bought a hot dog from a street vendor. It was very tasty. I ate it while walking. Then, I saw a big park. It was Central Park. I decided to go there. Central Park was beautiful. There were many trees and flowers. People were walking and playing. I rented a bike and rode around the park. I saw a lake and many birds. It was peaceful. I sat on a bench and watched people. I felt happy. In the afternoon, I visited a museum. It was the Metropolitan Museum of Art. There were many paintings and sculptures. I liked the Egyptian art the most. There were mummies and statues. I spent many hours in the museum. It was very interesting. The next day, I went to see the Statue of Liberty. I took a ferry to Liberty Island. The ferry ride was fun. I saw the city skyline from the water. When I arrived at the island, I saw the statue. It was very big. I took many pictures. I learned about the history of the statue. It was a gift from France to the United States. I climbed up to the pedestal and saw a great view of the city. After visiting the Statue of Liberty, I went to Ellis Island. It was close to Liberty Island. Ellis Island was a place where many immigrants came to the United States. I visited the museum there. I learned about the history of immigration. Many people came to America to find a better life. It was very educational. On my third day, I explored different neighborhoods. First, I went to Chinatown. It was very colorful. There were many shops and restaurants. I tried some Chinese food. It was delicious. I bought some souvenirs. Next, I went to Little Italy. The streets were narrow and charming. There were many Italian restaurants and cafes. I had a slice of pizza. It was very good. I walked around and enjoyed the atmosphere. In the afternoon, I visited the Empire State Building. It is a very tall building. I took an elevator to the top. The view from the top was amazing. I could see the whole city. I took many pictures. It was very exciting. On my fourth day, I went shopping. New York has many shops and stores. I visited Fifth Avenue. There were many famous shops. I bought some clothes and gifts for my family. The shops were big and beautiful. I enjoyed looking at the window displays. After shopping, I went to Broadway. I wanted to see a show. I bought a ticket for a musical. The theater was very big. The show was fantastic. The actors sang and danced very well. I enjoyed it very much. It was a great experience. The next day, I decided to relax. I went to a coffee shop and had breakfast. I drank coffee and ate a bagel. I read a book and watched people. It was a nice and quiet morning. Then I went for a walk. I visited some small parks and enjoyed the fresh air. In the afternoon, I went to the Brooklyn Bridge. It is a very famous bridge. I walked across the bridge. The view was beautiful. I could see the river and the city. I took many pictures. It was a nice walk. On my last day, I visited some places again. I went back to Times Square and Central Park. I wanted to see them one more time. I also visited a few shops to buy more souvenirs. I walked around the city and enjoyed my last day. In the evening, I went to a nice restaurant for dinner. I wanted to try some local food. The restaurant was cozy and the food was delicious. I had a great time. I thought about my trip and felt happy. I was glad I came to New York. The next morning, I packed my bags and checked out of the hotel. I took a taxi to the airport. The taxi driver asked me about my trip. I told him I had a wonderful time. He smiled and said he was happy for me. At the airport, I checked in my luggage and waited for my flight. I felt a little sad to leave. I had many good memories of New York. I knew I would come back one day. I boarded the plane and found my seat. As the plane took off, I looked out the window and said goodbye to New York. My trip to New York was amazing. I saw many famous places and learned a lot. I met friendly people and tried new foods. It was a wonderful experience. I will always remember my trip to New York.